Hello and welcome to the On Location with RG stream. I'm Rekha, I'm the R in RNG, and we are here today with Arlen Sturwold with Destination Doughnuts. How are you doing today, Arlen?
Yes, very well, thank you. Thank you for coming here.
Yeah,
Rekha.
thank you. Yeah, we had actually seen Destination Doughnuts on social media, and we also heard great things about them from some of our past live stream guests. So we really needed to come down and meet you guys.
Well, thank you so much.
Thank you, thank you. So could you let the audience know a little bit about yourself and kind of like the background of who is Arlen?
Okay, yes. So here I am. You can tell that I have been in the workforce for a good number of years. So I'll take you back to the time that I got out of high school. By then I had been a fairly steady, consistent baker at home in the farmyard, basically, where we had lots of eggs to work with. So I got to do a lot of cake baking and such, and I had a real love for it. After high school, I got a job in the local bakery in Barrhead, Alberta. So I worked there and for 4 years, and during that time I apprenticed and got my license. So then I'll fast forward, and throughout most of my working years, I've been involved in the baking industry, either in production or in sales of bakery-related products and equipment. I also taught at NAIT for 4 years in the meantime, and I've owned businesses. So here I am, after all that, owning Destination Doughnuts. This is the third business I've owned, and it might not be the last, I don't know. But when a person is passionate about what they do, then they find that if there is real enjoyment in it, they can really keep doing it. And I guess that's where I'm at right now, is I just keep doing something that I really like. And this time around, it happens to be donuts, gourmet donuts.
Love it. Yes, honestly, when you come into the shop here, there is quite literally a huge line of all these different donuts, and a lot of them are, it's hard not to look at them. They're just beautiful to look at. I see you have an ube, like purple yam donut, which, because I'm Filipino, of course I'm gonna eye that one up. Yeah. And there are a few other ones that are really interesting to see. I wonder, where do you get the inspiration for a lot of these donuts?
Well, I will admit that a lot of it just kind of came to me, but I've definitely had help from others. The most recent donut we did, are doing now, is a candied bacon maple donut. And that comes from Tracy, actually, who does social media for us. And we do another one that it was my daughter's kind of combination. It's called the Triple Play. And it's kind of like a sweet, salty, soft, and crunchy combination. There are ripple chips, and there's ripple chips on it. So people look at a donut with potato chips on it, but it's actually a very good combination. So we are helped with ideas from some people that work very close. But other ideas have just kind of come to me over time. And I mean, some of them are basic, okay? You dip it in white chocolate, and then we have an assortment of toppings. But we try to be unique rather than looking at what somebody else is doing and saying, well, let's do it too. Nothing in here has been copied from anybody. It's all original for us.
Beautiful, yeah. That, as you mentioned, that potato chip donut is so interesting looking. I'm very much a texture person, so seeing the potato chip on something that's kind of nice and soft with the donut just sounds so good. And I'm like, of course, after this we're gonna have to try some, because it's just too much not to. So I'm wondering, kind of like, how long have you guys been in business for? And because I've heard from some of our previous guests that you guys have been around for a really long time.
Well, yes, I guess that is subjective to one's thoughts or memories, but in reality, this is year 6 that we are now in business.
Wow.
So yes, we opened in November of 2017. to some real kind of fanfare. Like I was nervous, but certainly very happy the morning we opened and we took the paper off the windows. And at 8 o'clock in the morning, there was cars outside waiting for us to open. So, so that part was like really thankful. But yes, it has been 6 full years already, and we seem to still be going strong. We weathered COVID quite well. It changed business. It changed the way we did business. We got through that. Now, of course, we're dealing with the other challenges called inflation, where literally all of our pricing, our costs, have gone up between 50 and 100%.
Wow.
Without fail, everything. And so it is much harder to make a profit now. And so I don't know if there's an end in sight for that. So it is much more challenging now to be in business in this city. We've also had the different bans regarding plastics, which has increased my packaging costs, because now we have to use literally heavy paper that is brought in from China versus using plastic bags here. So again, you know, not getting into the argument about environment and so on, it's just that we have faced a lot of restrictions in business, making it more difficult.
Especially since like COVID, right?
Right.
From what I understand. What was it like for you guys to go through?
Well, COVID itself was, pardon me, interesting in that it meant we couldn't have anybody sitting in here. So I had to literally take my chairs, tables, and benches out of space, out of the area that I continued to pay rent on. So I got no revenue back from it. So people coming in here would come in and very quickly make their purchases. It was almost like there was a fear of stopping or congregating. And by congregating, I mean any more than 2 people standing side by side. They would make their purchases and go. So it was interesting in that we became a very fast takeout kind of a place. But what did start then was the delivery system through Uber Eats to skip the dishes, where a lot of people, like say, if they were still at work in an office or whatever, but that kind of died. But if they were working at home, instead of going out, they would tend to order in. So we had an uptick of business that way, but definitely a drop in customer count within the building.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think you had mentioned earlier that you guys used to have a little seating area for people to come in and have coffee, because you guys do offer a little bit of like coffee for people coming in and
yeah, basic coffee and some drinks, and we did offer seating too, because you know, sometimes people want to have just a quick snack and a visit with a friend. They don't necessarily want to go into a restaurant where a waitress would have to serve them and so on, whereas this becomes totally self-serve and very easy to just, you know, have a coffee and donut. But you know, we used to have a lot of people sitting in here on a Saturday and or a Sunday. It was a nice place to hang out as they walked on the street. So we used to have like lots of activity. You know, families too. It's kind of a very cheap place to just have a quick snack and a drink, even when they have kids, right? A donut for everybody, and we're good. So that business, of course, died with COVID, and that hasn't come back. I haven't set up the tables and chairs after that. No, that's done. So we adjust.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
So I know that you have quite a bit of people walking in. I mean, like, we're live right now, so there were a few people walking in, and I noticed earlier, even when we were kind of filming in the background there, a lot of your customers just know you. It's like a family, like almost like a family business where people just come in and your customers are your friends, which is absolutely amazing. I love that. And
that is what is really important with small businesses in Canada, is that there is a personal connection to the customers, and they come here and support us partly for the product, but partly for the fact too that they probably feel more important because we know them. I myself have been to the large department stores, and number one, I can't find anybody to look after my needs. And number two, there is, when you get some help finding something, there isn't that personal connection because they work with such a wide audience of customers. So when we are here, we don't get near the customer count, but we have more time to spend with them. So that really becomes like a treat when people walk in and you know that they're coming here because we mean something to them. And I value that. I value that relationship.
That's amazing. Yeah, from what you had said earlier too, you've had some like really cool commercial accounts as well that like to order like larger orders. Some really cool ones. I think you had mentioned something in sports as well. If you wanted to tell us a bit about that, it's very exciting.
Well, yeah, you know what, we're always happy to get the business that comes in corporately. And yeah, some of that business might kind of border on a sports team, you know, but anyway, we do work for a lot of corporations that now have lots of people in their office towers again. And so yesterday morning was a prime example of a pipeline company that had a large order. It was early. I had to start working at 1 in the morning. Riley had to come in at 5 to decorate so that the order could be picked up at 6:30 because they start their day at 7. So we have to back everything up. Our day has to start that much earlier in order for them to start their day at a normal time. So yes, I mean, it's not just people coming in here buying donuts for home, but it's the business people too coming in and buying larger orders for the staff. So that is really neat because a donut is really a happy treat to share. Yes. I can't think of anything else that they would want to bring to an office. I mean, you could say, well, maybe muffins or maybe cupcakes or maybe cookies, but it's all maybes, you know. When it comes to donuts, like they have their place. Nothing really rivals bringing in a bunch of donuts to a business meeting. Yeah, so it's a wonderful treat. It is, by the way, the #1 pastry item in Canada. So in terms of all pastries sold, donuts are #1 in terms of volume.
Oh, I believe it. Yeah. Yes, definitely. Especially these donuts that are here. You've got some really cool flavors. I mean, there's like chocolate overdose. The creme brulee, that sounds amazing. Like yeah. I've liked that kind of dessert before, but as a donut, that sounds delicious. Yeah. So it's just really cool to see all these different, like you can see me, I'm like craning my neck going like, what's another one? There's like French toast, Rolo, chocolate twist, and you know, how many different flavors do you guys have here?
Well, on an average day here, we have usually about 33 varieties, but then we have more items for specialty times, such as Valentine is coming up soon. And so we do like a heart-shaped donut, for example, and we do special decorating on those donuts for the event. For Christmas, we have 4 other types of donuts, so that kind of bumps us up to like 37 or 38 on display every day through Christmas. So it can range anywhere between 30 and touching on 40 that we have.
Oh, wow. Yeah. That's huge. And that, like, you'll still have those almost every day, or?
So every day we have for sure the 30 regular ones. We, you know, again, the specialty ones only show up for that season. For example, Valentine's Day is very unique in that it is a one-day item. Yeah. You typically don't buy Valentine's donuts early, and you do not buy them late. I mean, there is no market for them on the 15th of February. So it is all focused on that one day. Christmas is different. Christmas can go for as 6 to 8 weeks prior. You can start introducing your Christmas flavors because people have Christmas parties at home or at the office or whatever. So the themed donuts sell over a long period of time versus, like I said, Valentine's. It's one day, and you got to be on your game that day. Everybody has to be. Guys too.
Oh, especially. You better not mess up. That's for sure. Not on that day.
So this is the place to get a treat, a sweet treat for your sweetheart on Valentine's Day.
I love it. And speaking of Valentine's Day, we do have Valentine's Day coming up shortly here. What is your process for preparing for that?
Well, we make up sample boxes to put on social media, and we're going to be doing that this weekend, so that come February 1 we can start promoting it. But when we know what we're going to do, and we, based on last year's numbers and any records I have of previous, then we schedule it. So the night of the 13th, we start making donuts all through the night into the morning on the 14th, and by then we start decorating. So, so that we get this right, we make one, pardon me, we make one box. It's called Hearts and Hugs for Valentine's Day. So we get 4 hearts and 2 round donuts that indicate the hug part. They're filled and they're decorated special. So the focus on that morning really is on the way we decorate. Like we have to kind of make sure we take our time. We need to make them look really good because we appreciate that a lot of people use our donuts in a situation that expresses good emotions. And so to us, it's really important that that looks good. It has been said that we eat with our eyes. We look at our food, and if it looks good, we are automatically hungry. We automatically want to eat it. The reverse is true too. If something doesn't look good, we're not going to touch it. You know, and might not be based on quality or flavor or smells. It's going to be on vision. If you look at it and make it. So we really need to make sure it looks good that day. It's a special day.
Oh yeah, definitely. Are there any, like, can I know kind of what colors you're going to be going with?
Well, the main color for that day is red.
Of course.
Yeah, it's red. Pink might have its place, but white is almost preferable to pink, I think. So red is heavy, but when I mention white here, I'm really referring to decorating with white chocolate. So we use a lot of melted white chocolate and dark chocolate. So the brown chocolate isn't really, it isn't suitable for Valentine's Day. So it's either going to be red or white, or the two somehow put together. So I guess what I would say is you have to wait until after February 1, and you will see on social media.
Yes.
And apparently that's how you found us, was on social media.
I do love to look at things on social media, and as you mentioned, like, we do definitely eat with our senses. So seeing something delicious, it's hard not to think it's going to be delicious. So if you guys have seen the Destination Doughnuts social media before, you'll see that they have beautiful photos of all their different types of donuts here, and they are so delicious. Like, I was already craving one. I was like, donuts, that sounds great. And then I see photos and I was like, oh great, now I'm hungry too, you know? So
this process that you're filming this morning, it's all leading to that little kind of a pot of gold for you at the end, where you get to see the final ones being fried. We're going to specifically put 6 donuts on a couple of screens so that you can actually dip them in the fryer, you can flip them, you can fry your own donuts. Then when they cool a bit, we'll give you some plastic gloves to wear, and you can dip your donuts in glaze and make some, and then you can take away a box of donuts.
Oh, I love it.
They're going to be the warmest, freshest donut you've ever had.
Yeah, probably. Oh my gosh. And I have never ever made a donut before. So getting to do that for the very first time with someone as experienced as Arlen is going to be amazing.
Yeah.
So I know I'm in good hands. So how long was it that you, I think you had mentioned, how long have you been making donuts for, personally?
Well, I guess that was something that I started really when I started my baking apprenticeship. The new guy on the night shift out there, toward the end of the shift, he always was the one that fried the donuts. Pardon me. And that was me for the first year. Now, frying donuts was was a job that nobody wanted in those days because regulations were far different than today regarding the environment you worked in. So I worked in an area that we did not have a hood, we didn't have a fan or air makeup system, we didn't have fire suppression system, and you know it was hot. Your skin would get kind of oily from the vapors, which were not taken away. So it was not a fun job, but we had to do lots of donuts. Okay. Now over the years, the environment has improved a lot, and you know there are some really good, pardon me, regulations in place regarding work environment. And so now it is quite enjoyable to fry donuts because a proper air makeup system, you know you have fire suppression, and we have good lighting. I mean, I put extra lights in the area because that's the other thing is that we used to work kind of where it was dim and depressing, you know, which donuts aren't depressing.
No, they're exciting.
So, you know what, I'll give you a date. I started my career right at the end of 1968. So I have been involved in the baking industry, like I said, in various facets of it since 1968.
So I'm in extra good hands then, because I definitely won't be able to mess up whatsoever, and these are going to be amazing donuts at the end, for sure.
Yeah.
I'm super excited. Okay.
Yeah.
How much time do we have, Gabby? Okay, cool.
Okay.
Okay, so can you tell me a little bit about what goes into kind of assembling your team? Like, what kind of people are you surrounding yourself with in order to get these donuts right into the display here?
Right. Well, you know, I'll start with baking, actually making the donuts. And, you know, it just does require somebody who is knowledgeable about the process of baking in a yeast-raised environment, somebody who's knowledgeable and somebody who has a passion for the quality of product that they're putting out. So I really have that. I have found one employee who is just excellent with working with yeast-raised donuts. He, like you, happens to be a Philippine guy.
Yeah.
Okay. And because of him is why we have the ube donut for sale, right? So, so that is the most important step right there, is actually the making of the donut and making it proper and making it as best we can. Then the next thing, of course, is to have people working in the decorating area who have a sense of saying, well, I'm working with food, I need to make it look good. And by that I mean when we decorate, we need to look for a balance of colors and designs or shapes on the donut. When we display them, we try to display them in such a way that if there are chocolate lines on a donut, that they all kind of line up on the display rather than just being, you know, helter-skelter. So you look at that and say, well, as long as we take some of those things into account and realize that we really do have the privilege here of making food for people to eat. So those are the kind of people that work here then with the donut itself, decorating it, and then of course serving customers. So, you know, it really requires a desire to work with food. There are a lot of other places people can work and earn a paycheck, much different. I mean, it could be in a clothing store, it could be in a hardware store, it could be in a service industry somewhere, equipment-wise. But the process of making and preparing and sending food out, I think it requires people who have just a sense that they want to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, because of the importance of food to us.
Yeah, that real passion and even that love going into it. I mean, there's such a thing as, you know, when you love what you're making, especially when it comes to food, people can taste it. You can almost taste that love, and it's absolutely just delicious. And I mean, I can see it because all the beautifully decorated donuts sitting in the window, and they're so hard not to look at, you know. And even just like looking around here, it's probably one of the most interesting spots to come to for donuts. And I mean, look at this. this is the destination for donuts, for sure.
Yeah.
Can you tell us a little bit about just kind of where the name for Destination Doughnuts comes from?
Well, yes, glad to share that. So it was given to me, and I'm a guy who lives in faith and with the belief and experience of a higher power. And one day during the development and the construction of this place, because we had to convert this from a different type of business. We had to take out walls and carpets and everything. And through that process, one afternoon I was coming here again from my home. Traffic was very heavy. It was nearly stalled on Stony Plain Road, and I'm sitting there saying, you know, I just want to get to my destination. I literally said those words in my mind. And then all of a sudden it just hit me right there. The name Destination Doughnuts. So that is the moment the name came to me, and from that moment on, it was known as Destination Doughnuts. Prior to that, I hadn't had any thoughts about a name. I don't know when I was going to start thinking about a name, but this kind of, it just came to me. So, you know, take it for what it's worth, but that's my story.
Oh, I love it.
That's where the name came from.
Love it.
And we do get compliments on it. People really like the name. And the name in print on our box is a Destination Doughnut. So one word has 10 letters and one has 11. And then with our little swirl logo, it just gives a nice balance in print, like for any logos, labels, or anything that we're wearing, including on the apron right now. You know, it has a nice balance to it, rather than a different name. So, you know, I've just been really happy with the name because of that and because people like it.
Oh, yeah. It just has a nice ring to it even. I mean, this is the destination. This is where you're going to get your donuts from for sure.
Yeah.
How has the Edmonton, like this is we're located on 124 Street here.
That is right.
How has this location kind of treated you? Is this just like, how did you guys end up choosing this as your little home?
So this right here, you mean how to choose this? I looked at many places. Back then in the summer of 2017, I went to the White Avenue area. I looked at Jasper Avenue area, 124th Street. And I looked at this place several times and initially discounted it. But in the end, I settled on this. And I did for a couple of reasons, I guess, because as much as we are recessed from the street, visibility-wise, you say, well, that's not too good, but it gives us a parking lot. And this is one of the few businesses on 124th Street that has its own front parking lot. And it's free. It's not an in-park lot. We have to pay for it, the retailers, but for customers, it's free. So that was good. The other reason I chose this place is because our windows face east, and we get the morning sun all the time. This sunshine and donuts, it just is always a happy place in the morning. I love working here in the morning when the sun comes. I would not like to be on the other side of the street facing west and never getting the morning sun. We look at businesses across and they're in the shadow all day until late in the day when the late afternoon sun shines on them, but by then it's time to go home. So it was a combination of things, I guess. And the sizing was bigger than I kind of wanted, but you know what? It was a pretty new building and pretty nice. We have really, you know, really good visibility here on 24th Street and lots of windows for visibility locally and for natural light to come in. So it just kind of won, I guess. I probably looked at about 12 different places.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I've heard really good things about 124 Street in the first place. And even just being here, it's quite easy if you're an early morning person, which you guys are for sure, coming in at 3 a.m. to get your first batch done. It's kind of easy to wake up in this light here, and yeah, even when you mentioned like the windows, it's just so nice for someone who wants to, you know, start their day early, come in and grab a donut, or even just sit and, you know, have a coffee really quickly too.
Yeah.
All right, so What we're going to do next is we're going to go through and do a little demonstration of how these donuts are made from start to finish. And I look forward to decorating some donuts too.
Yes, yes, for sure.
Awesome, thank
Okay.
you.